everybody? It's Professor the Goat coming at you once again on today. And of course, before we get into the content, and we got some really good content for you today, we got to do what? We got to hit the like and subscribe button so that you can keep supporting the channel and I can keep on bringing this nice, juicy, flavorful content to you that's going to keep on blessing you in your life and anything that you want to do. So without further ado, let's go. So, on today, we're going to be discussing how important it is to actually go out and taste the level of success that you want. Well, what do you mean by that, Professor? I'm going to tell you. Okay, so, for instance, if there is something that you've been working for or something that you've posted on your vision board or in your phone as a screensaver or even on your laptop or desktop computer, whatever it is, then having the ability to actually touch that thing, that tangible thing. So let's use one of the easiest things that most people want to use is a car, right? Some people have a dream car that's like a Ferrari, a Lambo, a Bugatti, whatever. Some people just like, I just want a Mustang or something like that, right? So if you're living in a city that has these particular things that you want, so here in the city that I live in, we do have a Ford Italia car place that I can easily go to, walk right in, talk to somebody. They'll say, yeah, you can go sit in the car. I've done this many a times. I've taken some of the youth that I mentor to these same things because they're like, oh man, I want a Lamborghini, I want a Ferrari. And I ask them, well, other than on TV or on the screen, have you ever seen one or been able to get in one? And they'll be like, oh, nah, I've never done that. And then I'm like, okay, I got something special for you. You got to earn it, of course. You got to get there. You got to do what you got to do for me to take you here, but I'll take you so-and-so. So I take them there. I let them, see the car up front and close and personal. Of course, they want to do what? Take pictures with it because they never seen this car and they want to show off to their friends, that, hey, look, I was able to go to a Porsche dealership and look at Porsches, right? But the main impact is that they see the car without it being on a screen. So they see this car and they can physically touch this car. They can physically see this car with their own two eyes. And the impact is that being able to see that thing that you want, feel that thing and touch that thing and smell it and all of that, to hear it, all of that makes a larger impact than if you were just to see it on the screen, right? So if everything that you wanted in life, all you did was see it on TV or your computer or YouTube, wherever you might see it, right? It's not going to give you as much of the impact if you actually go out and actually see this thing and feel and touch it. Like it's real, right? It makes more of an impact. So the message I'm giving to you guys is the same message I give to my mentees is like, there's going to be things that you want in life that, you might not necessarily be able to touch. Like if you say, oh, I want to take a trip to Bermuda, there's no way for you to experience Bermuda without going to Bermuda, right? So that is not something that you necessarily can kind of get a pre-taste before the actual taste. But if you say, I want a mansion, I want a $1 million home. Well, guess what? Even though, COVID is hitting and everything else, you might be able to call up a realtor and be like, hey, look, I'm not here to buy. I just want to look at houses. My dream home is $1 million home. I see that on this such and such website that this home is for sale. Is there any way I can get into it? They might say, yeah, I can definitely show you the house. Are you working with somebody right now, even though you're saying that you don't want to buy a house as of yet? And you might be like, no, I'm not working with nobody. So they, of course, if you're looking for $1 million home, they're not going, a good realtor shouldn't turn you away because you could possibly be a potential client somewhere down the road in the future, right? You could actually go and buy that $1 million home. And if a realtor is going to get commission off of that, then they'd be stupid not to, at least entertain that idea. But that's a whole nother, topic of discussion. But anyways, going back to what we're talking about, right? So being able to call this realtor and they say, yeah, I'll show you the house, no problem. Nobody lives there. It's just, interior decorated just to show what it could look like as far as spaces go if you were to buy it. And you go and look at this house, and let's say you can't even afford it. Your credit's not good where you need it to be. The money that you have is nowhere near enough to sustain living into this type of property. The fact that you went out and you were able to physically see it versus just having a mental picture in your mind or having it on a computer screen or TV screen or whatever, it gives you more push and drive to get to that point, because now you're physically in this place. You're physically in this space, and you can actually see yourself there in real time. Same thing with the car. I like Ferraris. So I'm like, man, you know what? It wouldn't be nothing for one day for me to, get a Ferrari after my kids is gone. Not even, we ain't talking about retirement. I ain't talking about when I'm 67 years old. I'm talking about like, in the next few years when my youngest is out the house and I'm like, yo, I've got all these other businesses going. It ain't nothing for me to be like, okay, I want a Ferrari. I'm gonna go get a Ferrari. I worked hard for it. Why not? Forget whatever. Oh, that costs just as much as a house. Blah blah blah. It's what I want. It's not what you want. So don't worry about what I want. I want this. Don't worry about it. Right. So me going to the Ferrari dealer, sitting in one, looking at all the specs and understanding, okay, this is going to cost this much because I want this color, I want this interior, I want this gas pedal, this brake pedal, this, clutch is up on the wheel. All that stuff is bringing everything into the physical realm and not just in the visionary realm for me. So it makes my dream of getting that car even more real. I was about to say realer, if that's a word or whatever, but it brings it into a perspective of me being able to physically and actually see it in real time. And that could be a very big boost when you are working hard to go in and getting something or working hard to achieve something. So one of the biggest things that I was always wanting to achieve was to be a professor at the on my undergrad, which was A&T. You've heard me in previous videos talking about I'm a professor at A&T, and I am. So one of the things that I did before I even came to the position of being able to say, okay, I can actually apply, because I still needed the credentials, the grades, the degrees and all of that, right? I had to have all that. So what I did was, I honed certain skills, which were like speaking engagement skills or being a speaker, right? I honed those skills by doing little things, going to little gigs that somebody might let me come into and do a speaking. I remember there was a fashion show. I'm gonna put the link of the lady who allowed me to do it, to give her a big shout out. She let me come and speak at a fashion show for, she gave me a 30-minute slot. And of course I was scared to death, to do it, because I had never really done it in the crowd that she had. And, I did really well. And I kept practicing that craft. And then on top of that, I was being persistent by going to my alma mater, A&T, and talking with the department that I wanted to teach in and getting, what do I need to do? This is my face. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm looking for. Do y'all have positions? What can I do to get my foot in the door? And one of the things that I was able to do that got my foot in the door was shadow one of the professors I had previously when I was in undergrad and actually talk for his class. And he critiqued me and then also gave that critique to, the chair and the dean that was in the department. So then the next step was, it was like, okay, we want you to come and shadow for an entire semester. And you're going to be able to teach alongside this professor that has agreed. And Dr. Hall, if you ever get to meet him, his name is Dr. Marvin Hall in the psychology department, one of the greatest professors I've ever was able to get, pretty much have him take me under his wing and teach me a lot, not just under undergrad, but just in life general. And also he helped groom me to get into the professor position that I'm in today. I had to shadow him for a whole semester. And during the semester, he would say, okay, I'm going to teach this part of this lesson. I want you to teach this. He would give me all the stuff that I would need to teach. And then it was on me to sit down, lesson plan and all of that. So the point I'm trying to make is even though the end game goal for some of the things you're trying to achieve may not be tangible for you to get at that moment, getting a taste of it at any point that you can, some type of taste, whether it's actually going in and physically seeing it, touching it, tasting it. If it's food that you want to eat at the finest of finest restaurants, but you can only afford to go to a restaurant that's like 2 steps down, and that's still good, but it's not the greatest of what you want to, like, doing little things will help you understand that, okay, even though I'm in the process to get to this level and I'm down here right now, if I can taste a little bit of that before I get there, and I'm like, yo, this is really good, how much more is it going to light the fire in you to drive past any obstacle, anything that might come against you, to keep pushing to get to that level? Because I promise you, right now I drive a Nissan Altima. Ain't nothing wrong with Nissan. I like Nissan. It ain't never tore up bad on me. Little maintenance here and there. good. Car's been running, sweet, still running sweet, right? Don't cost me buku amounts of dollars out of pocket like some other cars, correct? But the point I'm trying to make is when I'm ready to pull the trigger on, okay, I want that Ferrari. I've already tasted the Ferrari in a manner of speaking, not physically, taste, but I've already tasted what the Ferrari was. I've sat in it. I've heard it purr up. You know what I'm saying? I know what it sounds like for it to cut on. I know how to properly cut it on. You know what I'm saying? It ain't one of those things where you just stick key in and, there's other things that you might have to do on a certain Ferrari depending on what you have as far as specs, right? I felt the brakes. I know what the brakes feel like. I know what the gas pedal feel like. I know what the clutch changing up here versus the traditional clutch down on the ground feels like. I know what the gear shifting is changing like. I know what it sounds like as far as stereo. I know where, if the engine's in the back, how it's going to make me feel when I press the gas to go versus something initially pulling me, which is the engine in the front, which is most cars. You're getting pulled versus something pushing you because the engine's in the back. Man, it's hard to explain it, but you should do it. You should try it. I don't care if it's David Emonita. He said that there was a certain cologne that he always wanted to buy, but it was up there in price. Like I'm talking about in the thousands. And at the time he was living with his dad. He didn't have no money like that, but he would go to the store where they were selling it and they would, spritz it on him a little bit. And he'd be like, yo, I'm walking on cloud nine because even though I had to come to this store and be like, yeah, I want to test the smell out to see how it is on my skin. He knew what he wanted. They knew who he was. They knew him by first name basis and knew what he was coming for. So it wasn't no thing for them to be like, oh, what's going on, David? You want to yo, come on, bro. I got you. There you go, brother. You good for the day? All right, let me know when you're ready to buy this bottle. Regardless of, and the people at the store could have been talking behind his back, man, this dude come in this store all the time. He don't never buy a bottle. He just want a free spritz because he's trying to impress somebody. But in his mind, he was like, yo, I smell it. I know what it smells like on my body. It might change this way, it might change that way, depending on the day, if I'm sweaty or not sweaty, whatever it might have been. He knew what it smelled like on him, and he knew that he had to have that smell to the point where when he started making that money, it was like, yo, give me like 5 bottles of that. And let me cash you out, brother. Yes, sir. Here you go. 5 bottles of that right there. Because he already had tasted where he was trying to go and where he was trying to get to. And if somebody like David Emonita, I've spoke to him before, I spoke about him before in another video, check him out. If somebody like him, who is at a very high level of success right now, was telling me that back then, before he experienced his success, he was already like, yo, let me see what the next level's like. And getting tastes and bits to it and knew what it was like, oh my God, I gotta have this. Imagine how much more fire that put under him to get to the point where it's like, no, this is the norm now. I'm not just tasting it. This is how I normally rock right now. So I promise you, whatever it is that you want, cars, jewelry, fragrances, houses, food, a specific type of drink, dish, apparel for your wardrobe, decorations for your house. I don't care what it is. Of course, let's make sure it's legit, legal, and it's good or whatever. But whatever it is that you want, and this is what I want specific, and you're not at the level to get that. If you can find some way to get some type of sample, tasting, see it, touch it, feel it, just have it physically in front of you, is going to give you so much more of a powerful motivation to get to that and make it your norm, that you're going to do that for anything that you want. Like I said in a previous video, I've got a dollar bill where I wrote $100,000 out there and put a date on it. And it was like, okay, by this date, I want to make that. Am I making it right now? No, but you bet I'm darn near close, and I'm a lot closer than the date that I put it on there, because at one point, I was struggling so freaking bad. I couldn't even pay $250 in rent. And that's the truth. Between me and my wife, we couldn't afford a $250 rent at one point. And now here it is, about to hit a 6-figure mark with the combined amount that we make, and going into other businesses to make even more and go to the next level. So I want that same thing for you guys. I want you guys to get to the next level. make sure whatever it is, if you have some way to get a taste of what it is that you want on the next level without getting into trouble, don't do it illegally, do it legally. We're all talking about legally. Don't go and just be like, oh, I'm just going to break in and fill this car. No, don't do that. That's stupid. I ain't tell you to do that. But what I did tell you is if there's a car, a house or something, and somebody's willing to show you, like, yeah, I'll show you what it looks like. I'll show you how it is. I'll show you how to get it. Listen, go down there, get even though it's going to be like a teaser, that teaser is going to help you to be like, yo, I got to get to this level. I got to get that. I'm telling you, it's so powerful. You'll be surprised how many people in your circle will say they want this thing. They want this extravagant thing. They want this major thing. And you be like, well, have you ever experienced it? And they be like, nah, man, I just want it. And you be like, well, how close are you to getting it? And they're like, well, I'm working towards it. And then you be like, well, have you ever thought about, even though you want this, going and trying this, which is above the level that you're at now, just see what that's like. And then that might drive you, to get to that level. And then when you get to that level, you look at getting to the higher level. And they be like, nah, I'd rather just go for this. And I'm like, but you missing. There's so much space in between from this to this. Yeah, everybody wants to get to this, but enjoy this. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy the climb. It's a great thing. Nobody takes a ladder from the first rung to the very top rung without having to go to the rungs in between. So without further ado, y'all, Professor the Goat coming at you. I hope and pray that you take my words and you put into action, whatever it is that it may be that you want in life, you're able to experience some level of it, even if it's travel. If you can't travel to the Bahamas, look for a nice beach in Florida, like Clearwater, Florida, or the Keys that can kind of resemble something like in the Caribbean that you want to go to. So then you can understand, when I can afford like this level and it ain't nothing, I can go to the next level. You working your way up. You got the motivation. So without further ado, y'all, hit me up, pray, aim high, stay focused, like and subscribe. Till next time, deuces. Us.